Meanwhile, a spokesperson for Congressman Val Demings, another Democrat, offered this assessment. The core of the far-right movement is that they should be able to kill you if they want to. That's the official line of the Democratic Party tonight. Keep in mind, and if you watch the trial, you know this, Kyle Rittenhouse was walking down the street when he was charged by a convicted child rapist and then charged by a number of other people. He sought no conflict. There was never any evidence that he was the aggressor in any case. He was aggressed against. So Joe Biden also weighed in on this, and he gave two versions of his views on it. First, he said, we're going to respect the jury's verdict. And then, of course, when his advisors took over and wrote a new press statement, he told us how upset he was by the verdict. And that's what aired on MSNBC all day.
The next time there's a protest of some sort, and it may get politicized, that gun owners with a certain ideology may feel incentivized now, may feel even emboldened.
What some may take from this verdict is that vigilante justice prevailed.
Knowing the history of vigilante justice in this country all the way back to times of enslavement, when people would be deputized to go out and track down enslaved persons who ran away, to lynching mobs, and this is 2021.
It is to tell the current and future Kyle Rittenhouses of the world that they can engage in white vigilantism and be let off for it, be defended and protected for perpetuating white supremacy.
White vigilantism, white supremacy, white. That was all over media all day long. Explicit racial attacks. What does that have to do with this case? And in what kind of country is that allowed when the most powerful people in the country level explicit racial attacks against one of their countrymen? Most of us didn't grow up in a country where people talk like this. It's very ominous that they're talking like this now. Just as a reminder, in case you're tuning in for the first time in a year, everyone involved in this case is the same color. The people of the Council on American Islamic Relations offered this take, which was very common today on the left, quote, "It is difficult to imagine a black or Muslim defendant engaged in the same conduct being found not guilty." Really? Are you here for the OJ trial? It's ridiculous. MSNBC, the network that was banned from the courthouse for following jurors around, broadcast this racial screed today from a relative of Jacob Blake's.
Now you tell us why he got a free ride. His bail money was raised by the Proud Boys, the Ku Klux Klan, the Nazis, the skinheads. Are they plugged up in this courtroom? Do we know the history of this judge? I heard he's been racist as hell to these people in Kenosha for many years.
It's really, really dark. The rest of us should not allow them to get away with racializing this, allow them to get away with attacking people on the basis of their skin color. That is always wrong. We would never engage in that, never have, and no one should do that because it divides the country and it's immoral, flat out. But somehow, through the crazy logic that governs their positions and their deeds, they wind up defending child rapists and domestic abusers, elevating them to some sort of hero status. The former mayor of New York, Bill de Blasio, wrote this today, quote, "Anthony Huber and Joseph Rosenbaum are victims. They should be alive today." Maybe we'll get a statue, a very small statue to Joseph Rosenbaum in New York someday. Meanwhile, the ACLU, which you'd think would be in favor of self-defense, that's the most basic of all civil liberties, suggests today that crossing state lines is somehow a crime. Stay in your own state. Here's what they said, quote, "Despite Kyle Rittenhouse's conscious decision to travel across state lines and injure one person, take the lives of two people protesting the shooting of Jacob Blake by police, he was not held responsible for his actions." This is insanity. And by the way, the continuous references to crossing state lines are not insignificant. Legally, they're meaningless. You have a right to cross state lines if you're an American because it's your country. You can, in fact, go to all 50 states and you're not breaking a crime. So why are they bringing that phrase into every analysis of the case, crossing state lines? Because they want to use this to change gun laws. That's why. You watch. So if you want to know what the worst people in the world are saying, obviously you're going to tune into Jeb Bush's former flack on
The Kyle Rittenhouse acquittal today, not guilty on all counts, did not happen in a cultural vacuum. There's some alarming context to this moment worth considering and talking about. Just last week, the Department of Homeland Security released its latest bulletin warning Americans again of the ongoing threat posed by domestic violent extremists. We should also point out conservative media for many, many months have been priming its audience for this moment, framing Rittenhouse as a hero.
So why are we inflicting tape like that on you on a day when all of us should be celebrating? We'll tell you why. Because none of that made any difference to the jury. And if you're totally absorbed in American media, you get the impression that American media are in charge of our country. And it turns out they're not. Most people don't watch that crap. They don't care what people like that say. They don't care at all.